Want to speak real Hindi from your first lesson? Sign up for your free lifetime account at HindiPod101.com.
Hi! Welcome to Introduction to Hindi. My name is Alicia, and I'm joined by...
Hi everyone, I'm Venus.
In this lesson, you'll learn the basics of Hindi grammar.
Did you know that Hindi doesn't use articles?
Really? That means you don't have to worry about where to put a and where to add an and where to use the?
Yes. Doesn't that make things easier?
It definitely does. What about gender? How is it indicated in Hindi?
Firstly, there is no he or she in Hindi. You can use the same pronoun for both genders.
Great!
But the verbs do change depending on the gender of the person speaking and the gender of the person you are speaking to.
Oh, that is quite complicated.
Not really. It is usually quite simple. If a verb uses e at the end, it means it is feminine. But if it uses a at the end, it means it is masculine. We will go through a few examples later in this lesson to find out just how easy it is.
Also, in Hindi, there is no neutral gender. Every object is either masculine or feminine.
Yes, so an auto rickshaw is masculine and a bus is feminine.
But there isn't a need to worry about getting the gender of all objects correct in the beginning. This is something you'll catch on to as you go on learning Hindi. How about we look at an example of verbs and how they change based on gender? Let's begin with the verb to do.
Sure. In Hindi, to do is karna. If you are female, you would say karti. And if you are male, you would say karta. So, the last vowel changes. It is e for females and a for males. Yes, the same goes when you address someone. If they are female, use e at the end of the verb. And if they are male, use a at the end.
Okay, so we don't have to worry about articles, we don't have to worry about pronouns being gender-based, but we have to be concerned about verbs being based on gender?
Yes, that's right.
How about we go on and take a look at some personal pronouns now?
In Hindi, the first person singular pronoun is main.
And it doesn't matter whether you're female or male. You can use the same pronoun.
Yes, the first person plural pronoun is hum.
While there's only one first-person singular pronoun in Hindi, there are 3 second-person singular pronouns, right?
Yes, they are tu, tum and aap. Tu is used in a very informal way, something you will use with a very close friend. Tum is also informal, but not as much as tu. It is something you may want to use with a friend, a close colleague, your kids, your siblings, or even your spouse. But aap is the formal form of address. It is something that you would like to use at your office while addressing your parents, strangers, or your elders. The interesting thing is that you can use tum and aap as the second person plural too. But generally, a word like all or people is added to tum and aap to make the second person plural. So, you could say tum log or aap log, where log means people. Or you could say tum sab or aap sab, where sab means all.
Good. So we learned 2 more words here, for people and all.
Yes, log means people and sab means all. Let's check the third person singular now. For he, she, it, this, we use ye. And for he, she, it, that, we use veh. The plural will be ye for these and veh for those.
So, how about we try and make some sentences now?
Sure, we can. But before we actually go on to forming sentences, we will need to know a little more about the various forms of the verb to be.
Of course, to be is an important verb not only in Hindi but also in English. Without knowing about how to use it, it's very difficult to form sentences. Imagine having no am, are, were, was, have, or has in English. There would be no sentences. So what is to be in Hindi?
It is hona.
How would we say I am in Hindi?
For I am, hona changes to hu. मैं हूँ. We are becomes हम हैं, where होना changes to है. With तुम you use हैं, and तुम you use हो, and with आप you use है.
That means the to be form is the same for plural and for respectful address.
Yes, it is हैं.
Does it change depending on whether a man speaks or a woman?
No, it doesn't. We have 3 versions of होना, and these are हूँ, हैं.
Great! So now we can make a sentence.
Definitely.
How would you say, I am Alicia?
That would be मैं अलीशा हूँ. So, the order of the words is I, Alicia, am, or pronoun, noun, verb.
That means, unlike English, the noun comes before the verb in Hindi.
Yes, indeed.
Let's try out a few more sentences. How about, I am good? How would we say that in Hindi?
मैं अच्छा हूँ if you are male. मैं अच्छी हूँ if you are female. Did you notice how for males the word good becomes अच्छा and for females it becomes अच्छी?
Yes, indeed. What about the plural version of the Hindi word for good?
That would be अच्छे. This would also be used if you are using a respectful address for a male. आप अच्छे हैं. Generally, the respectful form when addressing males is the same as the plural version.
That makes things quite simple. But good is an adjective. Does that mean that all adjectives also change depending on the gender?
Not always, but sometimes they do. You will pick this up as you practice the language more and more.
Okay, but what about past tense?
Was becomes था, or थे, or थी.
So, how would you say, how are you?
आप कैसे हैं? और आप कैसी हैं?
And how would you answer that?
मैं अच्छा हूँ if you are male, और मैं अच्छी हूँ if you are female.
Wow, we learned a lot about Hindi grammar today. Let's recap what we've learned in this lesson. In this lesson, we learned that there are no articles in Hindi. The pronouns are not gender-based, but the verbs are never neutral. They're always masculine or feminine. We also learned that you can use 3 variations of the word you, depending on whether you want to use a formal, informal, or a little more informal version. We also learned how the verb to be changes depending on whether the sentence is singular, plural, formal, or informal. And of course, we also learned how to say, how are you? And how to answer this very important question. Bye!
धन्यवाद and namaste.
Want to finally start speaking in your target language? In this guide, you'll discover the top 7 ways to practice speaking on your own with our lessons. Let's begin. Number 1, shadowing. Shadowing is a proven learning technique where all you do is repeat what you hear in order to practice speaking. So access any audio or video lesson on the site and press the play button to start. Then, as you listen or watch, just repeat the conversations. Or, even easier, read along out loud with the dialogue section. The script is right there in front of you. With our lessons, you can master entire conversations, just like that. Number 2, read out loud. I just mentioned it, but reading out loud is another powerful tactic and deserves its own mention. With every lesson, you get written transcripts and translations. So, as you play the lesson, read the dialogue out loud as you hear it. Why? By reading out loud, you're also practicing your speaking skills. You can do this with the lesson notes, the lesson transcript, or the dialogue tool. With the dialogue tool, you can listen to each line again and again, and repeat out loud until you master them all. Number 3, speed up your reading to speed up your speaking. Being able to speak without thinking is a sign of language mastery. If you're talking to a native and can respond quickly, they'll assume that you're fairly fluent. How can you do this? When you read out loud, try increasing your speed a little bit every time. So, start by reading with the dialogue tool. If you're like most learners, you'll read the first line slowly. That's because you're still getting used to the words, which is okay. Reread it. On your second try, you know most of the words, and you'll read a little faster. Reread it again. On your third try, you'll be even faster, at a native speaker's speed. And being able to read these phrases out loud and fast will help you speak fast. Number 4, record and compare yourself with native speakers. In order to sound like a native speaker, you must imitate native speakers. So here's how. Access the voice recorder, which is in the Dialogue Study tool in every lesson. Click on the microphone icon. Listen to the native speaker's audio, and then record yourself. You can then compare the 2 recordings side by side, and practice and try again and again until you perfect your pronunciation. Number 5, get feedback from our Premium Plus teacher. If you're learning by yourself and don't have access to real teachers, then you can always get feedback from our Premium Plus teachers. With the My Teacher tool, you can record yourself speaking and send the audio file to the teacher. They'll review it and tell you what to improve and how. That's it. Number 6, level up your speaking with Premium Plus assignments. With Premium Plus, you can also get assignments that cover reading, writing, listening, and even speaking from your teacher. These assignments can be tailored to your goals and needs. You get a new one every week, or anytime you're ready for a new one. Number 7, get even more lessons in the lesson library. If you want even more lessons on speaking and conversations, visit our lesson library and under Category, choose Conversation. You'll get all of the pathways and lessons that are focused on speaking. If you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share it with anyone who's trying to learn a language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. And if you're ready to finally learn language the fast, fun, and easy way, and start speaking from your very first lesson, get our complete learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account right now. Click the link in the description. I'll see you next time. Bye! To master a new language and understand everything as soon as you hear it, to read with just a quick glance and speak smoothly without thinking, you need to review. Here are our top 5 review tactics. Number 1, listen to examples over and over again. By listening closely and often, you start to pick up the rhythm of a language, as well as correct pronunciation from a native speaker. Use our line-by-line feature that lets you both listen and read along. Use this tool to practice as much as possible. Number 2, use our voice recording tool to master perfect pronunciation. Record yourself and compare it against the native speaker. If you sound different, then repeat after the native speaker until you're able to match them. Use our voice recording feature, which makes recording super easy. Number 3, master your recorded conversations. Record conversations and go over them again and again. Master entire conversations and repeat them line by line. Use any of the dialogues available for download on our website. These come with transcripts of the entire conversation. Number 4, use mobile devices to reinforce previously learned conversations. Constant review is the best way to progress in your language studies. Download the recorded dialogue to your mobile device and incorporate it into your music playlist. Quick reviews throughout the day effectively reinforce what you've learned. Number 5, read with line-by-line notes. Read along with a native speaker to really master pronunciation and natural intonation. You should start slow at first, then slowly increase your speed. Your pronunciation will become more natural. You will also see that your ability to understand fluent speakers will greatly increase. You'll be able to improve your communication skills using these 5 simple review techniques. Increase your understanding of your target language. And remember, if you're interested in getting all these review tools, sign up for your free lifetime account. No credit card required, and you'll get the best free online resources. And start reviewing more every day.
HindiPod101.com में स्वागत है।
नमस्ते, मेरा नाम प्रेरणा है। आपसे मिलकर खुशी हुई। Hi, my name is Prerna. Nice to meet you. Welcome to HindiPod101.com's Hindi in 3 minutes, the fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Hindi. In the last lesson, we learned how to make a sentence negative using nahi, a word like not. In this lesson, we'll start to learn about Hindi adjectives and how to use them properly. You'll see that for adjectives, things in Hindi are a little more complicated than in English. But don't worry, it will still be easy. In Hindi, adjectives change their form to match the noun they modify. This doesn't happen in English, but you'll master it quickly. However, not all adjectives do this. Some stay the same no matter what. Let's start with a concrete example. ये एक बड़ा घर है. It's a big house. ये एक बड़ा घर है. To break down this sentence, we have ये, which means it, एक, which is like the English a, बड़ा, which means big, घर, which means house, and finally है, which means is. Now, let's look more closely at bada, which means big, and ghar, which is house. In Hindi, all nouns, and not just people, are either masculine or feminine. Here the subject ghar or house is a masculine word, so the adjective bada or big also has to be masculine. Ghar is also singular, so bada also has to be singular. Let's see the same sentence with a feminine word. We'll use gaadi or car. It becomes ये एक बड़ी गाड़ी है. It's a big car. Here, we have to change the ending of bada to an e sound to make it feminine. Here are a few more examples to show the difference between masculine and feminine form. Acha is the masculine form for nice or good. Achhi is the feminine version. Chota is the masculine for small and choti is feminine. Thanda is the masculine for cold and thandi is feminine. Fortunately, not all adjectives are like this. Sundar, which means beautiful, never changes. It's the same whether masculine or feminine. Isn't it helpful? Now, if an adjective is masculine, it will also change depending on whether it's singular or plural. Basically, the rule is to replace a with a at the end of the adjective to make it masculine plural. But as is often the case in Hindi, there are exceptions. Let's start with an example of the standard pattern. ये लड़का छोटा है means this boy is small. ये means this, लड़का means boy, छोटा means small, and है means is. If you want to make it plural, just add a to the end of the adjective. ये लड़के छोटे हैं. This means these boys are small. Let's break it down. ये means this and hasn't changed. लड़के means boys. It has changed slightly. Chote means small. Notice the a has become an a sound. Finally, hai becomes hain. Again, the singular ye ladka chota hai and the plural ye ladke chote hain. If you use the adjective sundar or beautiful, however, it will never change. To say my sister is beautiful, you'll say meri behan sundar hai. To say my sisters are beautiful, you'll say meri behne sundar hain. While some words in the sentence did change, sundar itself stayed the same. Now it's time for Prerna's points. If you want to emphasize an adjective in Hindi, you can use the word bahut or kafi, as in kafi acha, which is really good, or bahut sundar to say very beautiful. In this lesson, we learned how to properly use adjectives in Hindi and how to get them to agree correctly with nouns. In the next lesson, we'll learn the basic uses of the verb jana, which is to go, so that you'll be able to say sentences like, I'm going to school. Is there somewhere you want to go? We'll tell you how to talk about it in the next Hindi in 3 minutes lesson. फिर मिलेंगे. See you then.